Let's be honest, buying a car in the 21st century can be a painful experience. Many people routinely list buying a car as one of the worst shopping experiences imaginable. There's nothing worse than someone pretending to be your best friend while trying to push you into a purchase that you may not even be able to afford. And equally as bad is you thinking you got a good deal, and then you going home and you realizing that they may have upcharged you five, ten, or even $15,000 over what you should have been paying for that car. And then sometimes they even tack on extended warranties that cover nothing at all. Just imagine driving your car and something like your engine fell, and you thinking, man, I am so glad I got that extended warranty. And you go to the dealership and it covers nothing. Nothing. There's nothing worse than feeling like somebody got over on you. And my goal is to help make sure that experience is less painful by mapping out some of the things that you should do before going to the dealership, while you're at the dealership, and even maybe some things that you should reflect on after purchasing your car. So let's get into it. So the first thing you want to do before going to a car dealership is making sure you understand what your budget is for the car. And the golden rule is to make sure that you never, ever, ever purchase a car that's more than 20% of whatever your income is. So for example, if you bring home $5,000 a month, you do not want the car plus the expenses of the car to go over $1,000. So you may want to scale back the payments to be in something around $500, $600, and then think about the expenses of the car, the oil changes, or something possibly breaking down. All that has to be less than 20% of what your annual income is. Number two, make sure you understand all the aspects of your car. Go ahead, do some research on your car, understand the market value of that car, look at recent sales in your area. Make sure you know exactly how much you should be paying for that car, and never ever ever pay more than its value. No matter if the salesperson says that the car is in high demand, you make sure you understand the price you want to pay and only pay less than that value. Do your research. The third thing you should do prior to going to the car dealership is getting pre-approved for a loan. You want to understand how much money that you can get approved for, what your interest rate is going to be on that loan, and how much car that you can actually afford. Because your dream car could be a Mercedes or a BMW, but if you don't have the budget for that car, you can't purchase it. And also, you should always understand what you're going to be paying. If you go to the bank and they say you have a 3% interest on this loan or a 4% interest rate on this loan, you know that should be the highest you should ever be willing to negotiate at the dealership. So if he come back and say, okay, Montel, we got something special for you. We got an 8% interest rate on this loan, and you can do it for 60 months. You need to say, no way, I already been pre-approved. I understand the interest rate that I can get, and if you're not willing to meet me at this, I can go to the bank, I can get a check, and I can bring that back and pay for the car instantly. And then you can finance it through that bank. So make sure that you're doing your research and you get pre-approved prior to going to the car dealership. So now we already have our three things ready prior to going to the dealership. We understand the highest interest rate that we are going to take on a loan. We understand how much the market value for that car is. And we also understand how much that we can get pre-approved for prior to even talking to any salesman. And then these are some of the things you want to look at once you're actually at the dealership. So once you get to the car dealership and you talk to a salesman, you want to focus on one thing at a time. And what do I mean by one thing at a time? So first, if you want to negotiate the price of the car, go ahead, talk to the salesman, understand that, hey, I want to buy a Honda, and I know a Honda is worth $30,000. I'm not willing to go higher than $30,000. You make sure that you're focusing on negotiating that overall price. Then you might want to move on to something like the trade-in value of your car. Or then after that, you might want to talk about the interest rate on that loan. Make sure you're focusing on one thing at a time, but make sure you're also talking about those things in the correct order in which you want to negotiate. And speaking of order, never tell the salesman too much up front. So if you're negotiating your car, you don't have to tell him up front, I have a trade-in that I want to use. You don't have to do that. You can negotiate the car. You can say, okay, now that we agreed on paying $30,000 for this car, I want to also negotiate how much trade value my car that I bought in has. And then you can focus on that. And then you know what the price of the car is. You now know what your trade value is. And then you can move on to saying, once I subtract the trade-in value of my car, I now know that maybe I've taken that $30,000 down to $25,000. Now, let's look at what the overall cost of the car is going to be with taxes, with any of the fees that they have. And then let's talk about the interest rate that we're going to potentially pay. And remember, being a good negotiator is extremely important. This is something that you can practice at home. You can practice with your wife, your brother, your friends. Talk to them. Talk to them about what you want to purchase, what you're willing to pay, and don't be scared to walk away. There's nothing wrong with shopping around at a variety of different car dealerships in your community. It's okay. Take your time with it. Committing to a car is something that is huge. You may use that car for the next 10, 15 years of your life. So if you don't negotiate properly, you may end up with buyer's remorse. And that's something that we do not want. Okay, so now we've done all our negotiating. We've done all our research. We understand what car we want, how much we're going to pay for this car, what's the interest rate we want to pay for. You're going to be sitting down, and then they're finally going to say, all right, I understand that you're paying for your car. We got all the details worked out. But what do you think about protecting your car? This could be the car for the next 5, 10, 15 years for you. You don't want to walk out of here without protection on that car. And I'm telling you right now, do not buy it. We don't want any extended warranties. We don't want a protection plan for our tires. We don't want a lifetime supply of free oil changes. You will pay 10 times as much on any of those extended warranties that you would ever pay if you just fixed it yourself. If you just took it to your local Walmart and got your oil changed. Those extended warranties are not in your best interest. They're only in the best interest of the salesperson, and they're only built to line those car salesmen and those car dealerships' pockets. Please do not purchase those extended warranties. So now that we've done all of our planning, our pre-planning, we know what to do once we get to the car dealership. The last and final thing, and maybe the most important thing, is make sure that you are enjoying your time. Make sure you test out the car. Make sure you blast the radio up to the max volume. Make sure you test all the features. Touch the heat, the AC, let it blow in your hair. Make sure you are enjoying your experience. And if that salesperson is hindering you from enjoying the experience, walk away. Go somewhere else. Go to a place that values you. Because that salesperson needs you as much as you need them. And there are hundreds and hundreds of car dealerships out there, but there's only one you. So make sure that you enjoy your time, you have fun with your experience, but make sure you have a smart, healthy financial experience as well. So hopefully all of these tips and trades that we went to today can help make your car buying experience a little less painful than it's been in the past. You have a wonderful day, and remember, stay humble.